The sky was darkening fast, and the road stretched endlessly under a blanket of grey clouds. Rain tapped softly on the windshield of a small, worn-out car as it moved slowly along the empty highway. Inside, Sarah gripped the steering wheel tightly, her tired eyes flicking between the fuel gauge and the road ahead. Her daughter, Lily, just 6 years old, sat in the back seat, hugging her little teddy bear. She wore a faded pink jacket, the sleeves slightly too short. "Mummy, are we almost home?" Lily asked softly. Sarah forced a smile. "Almost there, sweetheart. Just a little more." But inside, her heart was pounding. They weren't going home, not really. They were going to a friend's small apartment outside the city, where Sarah hoped they could stay for a few nights. The rent on their old house was due, and she couldn't pay it. She had been working double shifts at the diner ever since her husband left, but everything seemed to fall apart faster than she could fix it. As the rain grew heavier, the car suddenly made a strange noise, a loud clunk, and the engine light flashed red. "Oh no, not now," Sarah whispered, steering the car to the side of the road. The engine coughed once, then died completely. She turned the key again and again. Nothing, just silence. Lily's small voice broke through the quiet. "Mommy, is the car sleepy?" Sarah let out a shaky laugh. "Maybe, baby. Maybe it's just tired." She stepped out of the car, the cold wind biting her face. The air smelled like rain and wet asphalt. Looking around, she realized they were in the middle of nowhere. No houses, no gas station, no lights except the hazard flashes blinking weakly in the dark. She pulled out her old phone. No signal. Her chest tightened. She couldn't call for help. She couldn't leave Lily alone. She wrapped her arms around herself, fighting tears. "It's okay, Sarah. Think, just think." Minutes passed. The rain kept falling. Every car that zoomed by sent a spray of water over her small vehicle, but no one stopped. Inside the car, Lily's little face was pressed against the window. "Mommy, no one's helping," she said sadly. Sarah opened the door and sat beside her daughter, trying to smile. "Someone will, sweetheart. Sometimes help just takes a little longer to come." But deep down, she didn't believe her own words. Then, out of the mist, headlights appeared, bright and steady. A black SUV slowed down beside them. Sarah tensed. She wasn't sure whether to be relieved or afraid. The driver's window rolled down, and a calm, deep voice spoke. "Car trouble?" She turned. A tall man stepped out, dressed neatly in a white shirt and dark trousers. His shoes looked expensive. Definitely not the kind of person who'd usually stop on an empty road. I think the engine died," Sarah stammered. "I don't have a signal to call anyone." The man gave a reassuring nod. "Let's take a look." He popped the hood and leaned in, sleeves rolled up, completely unfazed by the rain. Sarah watched him curiously. There was something confident, almost gentle, in the way he worked. "Looks like your battery connection's loose," he said after a minute. "And this cable's corroded." Sarah blinked. "Can it be fixed?" He smiled slightly. "Let's find out." He fetched a small toolkit from his SUV, the kind of thing prepared people carried. Within minutes, he cleaned the contact points and tightened the wires. The rain dripped from his hair, but he didn't seem to care. "Try it now," he said, stepping back. Sarah climbed into the driver's seat and turned the key. The engine roared to life. The sound made her gasp in relief. "It's working!" she exclaimed. Lily clapped her hands from the back seat. "Yay, Mommy's car woke up." The man laughed softly. "Looks like it did." Sarah got out, wiping her eyes. "I don't even know what to say." "Thank you, really. You have no idea how much this means to us." He shook his head. "No thanks needed. Just glad you and your daughter are safe." She hesitated, studying him. His calm smile, the way he spoke, there was something familiar about his kindness, something that didn't fit his polished appearance. Do you work around here?" she asked, curious. He nodded vaguely. "Something like that." Then he checked his watch. "You should get going before it rains harder." Sarah nodded. "Right, thank you again. What's your name?" He paused for a moment, almost amused. "Daniel," he said simply. "Take care, Sarah." She blinked. "Wait, how do you know my—" He pointed at the diner uniform she still wore. Her name tag glinted faintly under the headlights. "You dropped your name tag," he said with a small smile, placing it on the hood. "Oh," she said, laughing awkwardly. "Right." Daniel gave a polite nod, then returned to his SUV. As he drove away, the tail lights faded into the mist until they disappeared completely. Sarah stood there for a moment, watching before she whispered, "Thank you, whoever you are." Back in the car, Lily leaned forward, her eyes bright. "Mommy, that man was nice. Like a hero." Sarah smiled faintly. "Yes, sweetheart. Some heroes don't wear capes. They just fix cars in the rain." As they drove off, she kept thinking about him. The way he'd spoken, calm and sure, as if helping strangers on a dark road was something he did every day. She didn't know that Daniel Carter wasn't just a kind man. He was the CEO of one of the biggest companies in the city. A man who'd built an empire, but still stopped to help a struggling mother on a rainy night. And in a few days, fate would bring them together again, in the most unexpected way. For now, all Sarah felt was gratitude for a stranger who appeared out of the dark, fixed her broken car, and gave her a reason to believe that kindness still existed in the world. The road stretched ahead, and though the rain kept falling, it no longer felt as cold. The next few days passed quietly for Sarah and Lily. The car was running fine again, thanks to the kind stranger who'd stopped in the rain to help. But Sarah couldn't stop thinking about him. Daniel, the man with calm eyes and a quiet smile. Something about that night stayed with her. She didn't even know why it mattered so much. Maybe because no one had helped her like that in a long time. Sarah had been used to doing everything alone, raising her daughter, working extra hours at the diner, trying to save enough to someday move out of their tiny apartment. Life wasn't easy, but she kept pushing through one day at a time. Then, one morning at work, her manager, Mrs. Collins, gathered all the employees together. "Listen up, everyone," she said. "Our company has been invited to serve at a charity event hosted by Carter Enterprises. It's a big deal. Their CEO is attending personally, so please be on your best behavior." Sarah's eyes widened slightly. Carter Enterprises. The name sounded familiar. She'd seen it on billboards and delivery trucks, one of the city's biggest corporations. She didn't think much more about it. It was just another event, another long shift to make a bit of extra money. That Saturday, she dressed neatly in her uniform and took Lily along. It was a family-friendly event, and Mrs. Collins had said the staff could bring kids if needed. The venue was stunning, a grand hall filled with golden lights, flowers, and people dressed in elegant suits and gowns. Sarah felt completely out of place. She stayed near the catering tables, making sure everything looked perfect. Lily clung to her hand, looking around in awe. "Mommy, this place looks like a palace," she whispered. Sarah smiled softly. "It's just a fancy hall, sweetheart. Don't touch anything, okay?" "Okay," Lily said, giggling. As the guests began to arrive, the atmosphere filled with laughter and soft music. Sarah focused on her work, handing out drinks and smiling politely. Then the host took the microphone and announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the man behind today's charity, our city's own Daniel Carter, CEO of Carter Enterprises." The crowd applauded loudly. Sarah looked up and froze. It was him, the man from the highway, the stranger who had fixed her car in the rain. He walked onto the stage in a black suit, confident yet humble. His voice was calm, the same gentle tone she remembered. "Good evening, everyone," he began. "Tonight we're not here for business or profit. We're here to remember what really matters, helping those who need it most." Sarah stood there, stunned. Her heart raced. He's the CEO? She couldn't believe it. The man who had knelt on the wet road to fix her old car was one of the city's most powerful businessmen. Beside her, Lily tugged her sleeve. "Mommy," she whispered, pointing at the stage. "That's the man who fixed our car." Her voice was loud enough for several people around them to hear. Heads turned. Sarah felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment. "Lily, shh," she whispered, trying to calm her. But Daniel had heard it too. He paused mid-sentence, his eyes scanning the crowd, and then he saw them, Sarah and Lily. A smile slowly spread across his face. He ended his speech gracefully, but his eyes kept flicking toward Sarah's corner. When the applause faded, he stepped down from the stage and made his way through the crowd. Sarah's heart was pounding. "Oh no," she muttered. "He's coming here." Moments later, Daniel stood in front of her. "So," he said lightly, "we meet again." Sarah blinked, still shocked. You're the CEO?" Daniel chuckled. "Last time I checked, yes. Though I think I prefer being the guy who fixes cars on the side of the road." Lily smiled brightly. "You helped us." "Our car was broken." Daniel crouched to her level. "That's right. You remember me." Lily nodded. "You're a hero." He laughed warmly. "I'll take that as a compliment." Sarah was still speechless. I didn't even get to thank you properly that night," she said softly. "You just disappeared." "I didn't disappear," he replied gently. "I just figured you had enough to handle. But I'm glad you made it home safe." Sarah smiled nervously. "You didn't have to help us that night. You could have just driven away." Daniel's expression turned serious. "Maybe, but when I saw you and your daughter alone in the rain, I couldn't. My mother raised me to never pass by someone who needs help." There was a moment of silence. Something in his voice carried warmth, and sadness too. Lily tugged his sleeve again. "Mr. Daniel, are you rich?" she asked innocently. Sarah gasped. "Lily?" Daniel grinned. "I do okay," he said playfully. "But I think your mommy works harder than I ever could." Sarah's cheeks turned red. "You don't have to say that." "But it's true," he said, looking straight into her eyes. "Most people don't realize how strong single mothers are. You've been doing everything on your own, haven't you?" She swallowed, surprised he could see right through her. "Trying to," she whispered. Daniel smiled kindly. "You're doing better than you think." Just then, a photographer approached. "Mr. Carter, we're ready for the press photos." He nodded, then turned back to Sarah. "Will you both stay after the event?" "I'd like to talk." Sarah hesitated, then nodded. "All right." After the event ended, the guests slowly left, leaving the hall quiet. Daniel walked over again, this time holding 2 cups of hot chocolate. He handed one to Lily. "For the bravest girl I met this week," he said with a wink. Lily giggled and sipped happily. Daniel sat beside Sarah. "I run this company, but I don't forget where I came from," he said. "My mom worked 3 jobs after my father died. I know what it's like to struggle.